Did you know that mom life is equivalent to working a 98-hour work week? So, the next time you start beating yourself up as a mom, or the next time you wake up thinking that you are already behind, I want you to really look at studies that show mom life being the equivalent to a 98-hour work week. Is your partner working a 98-hour work week? Are you working a 98-hour work week? Probably not. I mean, if you're a mom, then yeah. If you're a mom doing it all on your own, certainly. But let's talk about how we can start to scale this back, the reason that you're feeling this way, and really start to shift things. The problem is you probably feel like you never stop working. You're probably overwhelmed all the time. Again, like I said, like waking up feeling like you're already behind, drowning in all the things, mentally clocked in before your feet even hit the floor to the second that your head crashes on your pillow at night. You don't have a time problem. You have a systems problem. You do not need more hours in the day. You need more systems. You need a better way to run the ones you've got, one, which, of course, boundaries is going to come into this because when we start to put systems into place, essentially a system is like a boundary. And it is something that we put into place to protect our own inner peace, but now we get to uphold it. And so it is not it's not a problem that you're not doing enough. That's not the problem. It is not the problem that you should just be doing it better, doing more, doing it harder, faster, right? Like whatever. I'm in stumble over all my words here. You do not need more hours in the day. You need a better way to run the ones that you've got, like I said before. So what this looks like in real life is that you are the only one who knows when permission slips are due. When is crazy hat day? You're constantly reminding your partner, hey, can you take out the trash instead of having it handled? You are mentally keeping tabs on the 5,000 things that you have to do every single day: laundry, meal planning, dentist appointments. Whose shoes are too small? How much screen time has everyone had today? And you finally sit down to relax, but your brain is still buzzing with a million undone things that are left on your list. So that is what this looks like in your life, is that you might be the only one who knows, which sounds crazy, right? The biggest problem I see with this is that as moms, we train our kids, and the only reason this is so prevalent for me right now is because this is a big lesson I learned when the school year started this year, and we had just moved, and everything felt like a mess. My kids would come tell me something that they needed. They would come tell me when something a certain day was. They would come tell me I needed to sign all their homework. I needed to hop online and sign their syllabus and their forms and whatever. But then they just expected me to remember all of it. And so something that my daughters my two oldest had started giving me a really hard time about was you always forget. You always forget. You always forget. Well, okay, let's think about this for a second. It is not mine to remember. It is yours. It is your responsibility to get it done. So you need to find me at a time, or you need to schedule a time with me where we can sit down and go through everything together. All you have to do is and this is something that I said, I finally learned my lesson because I used to, they would be like, well, you always forget. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt really shitty. I felt like I was failing as a mom, that I should have been able to remember all of these things for everybody. And they've told me, right? They told me they needed a new pair of pants, and they told me that their shoes are too small, and they told me that I had to sign these papers, and they told me that parent teacher conferences were on this day, and they told me I needed to get online and sign up for those. Right? They told me. But something that I needed to put into place was, hey, you actually need to come to me, and we need to find a time that we can both sit down together. So when you come to me, it is not, hey, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And then you kind of take it off your shoulders and let it slide out of your head and then leave all of the accountability and the getting done, all of the responsibility on me as a mom. And then when it doesn't get done or something falls through the cracks, I was getting blamed. And it felt really shitty until I realized it's a pattern of mine, which was really great to have a coach point that out. and be able to help me navigate a different way. And my therapist was really great with this too, because again, we all have these patterns of how we run in a household. And if the pattern is you're constantly solving things for your kids, or you're doing things for your kids that they can do for themselves, you're not serving anyone. And so we want to figure out, how can we make it all work so that, one, you're not working a 98-hour work week every single week as a mom, but you are fully supported within your home, because that is the vibe here. That is what is possible. That is what gets to happen. And that's what it gets to look like for you. But until you start to learn to put those systems and boundaries into place, it's going to continue to happen. You're going to continue to carry all of that load, which is so exhausting, and not one person can do it all on their own. So, when we start to put these boundaries in place, it looks like my daughter coming to me and saying, "Hey, mom, do you have time this week where we can sit down and go through all my school stuff?" Yes. So then we can find a time on the calendar and say, how does this day work? Just like I scheduled in my daughter's senior pictures. Hey, what day works best for you? She has a very busy life. She graduated high school early. She's in an esthetician program. She works, so she goes to school 5 days, 4 days a week. Tuesday through Friday, she goes to school. And then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, she's at work all day, most days. Mondays, she gets off at 3. So we figured out how to make our schedules work together when we could sit down together and do what needed to be done, or go take her pictures or whatever. So do you see how this looks very different than the typical pattern of mine would be? My kids would come and tell me, I would be in the middle of something when they told me, I would forget an hour later, it would never make its way to the calendar, then they would come to me again, and then they would blame me for forgetting everything, and then I would feel really shitty, and it would start this whole cycle all over again, this mom guilt shame cycle I was in. We don't want to do this anymore. We need systems. And so when we think of systems, this is what I teach a lot in Mom Life Mastery. I have 2 courses, and I'll talk about those for a very brief second, but the first one is Boundary Mastery, and essentially it is module 1 of Mom Life Mastery. So if you do buy Boundary Mastery for $97, then I let you use that $97 to put toward Mom Life Mastery if you decide to upgrade later. And Mom Life Mastery is where we go through every single part of your life, and we see what needs to be done, what boundaries and systems need to be put into place to make it run smoother so that you are fully supported in your home. You let go of the mom guilt and live a life that feels really, really good, where you don't feel like the naggy mom anymore, because your kids know what is expected of them. They know what they can do on their own, and things get done. That is what that course is all about. So, because you don't need to do more. As a mom, I think the thought is oh, I need to do more. Or for me in the very beginning, the thought was this is my job. I'm a mom. And here's what I see a lot of too is I had a friend. I remember the first time I heard her say it, it didn't sit right with me, but logically, my brain was oh, okay, I guess that could make sense. Sure. She's well, since I don't work, it's my job to take care of everything else. And let me tell you, that is a hard no for me now, because you're not just a stay-at-home mom. You are still a woman and a human with needs. And it took me a really long time to get okay with just having needs, then asking for needs, because I believed that my husband also had the same beliefs, that it was a mom's job to do it all, that I was supposed to be able to stay on top of everything, and that just was not the case. Not if it is the equivalent of a 98-hour work week, right? So I want you to think about that. I don't care if you were just a stay-at-home mom, as a lot of us deem ourselves, right? Just a stay-at-home mom. You are not just anything. You're a mom, you are a woman, and you get to be incredible at both. And so when you are staying home, you have so much on your plate that you don't even realize. And I guarantee you, your husband probably isn't working 98 hours a week. So he also helped create the family. He gets to step up and support you as well. And more than just financially, you need emotional support. You also have needs, and you get to have needs. And also support when you all sit down at the dinner table and a kid asks for a glass of milk and nobody moves. And you're looking around just wishing gosh, I just wish that my husband would hop up one time and just get the glass of milk instead of me having to pry myself away from my food yet again to go get something for somebody else to come back. And by the time I'm done with everything that everyone has now asked me to do, my food is cold and I'm eating a cold meal once again. I don't know about you, breastfeeding kind of ruined me of eating warm food. Like I can eat food at any temperature at this point. And not that I want to be proud of that, but if I look at the pattern that created that, I had to take my power back. I had to put some boundaries in place. I had to ask for some support so that I could actually eat a hot meal too. And so you get to do the exact same thing. So let's talk about putting systems into place and really assigning ownership back to the people who get to own that. For us, we now set expectations in the home. So I want to look at this like um, getting everyone to help without nagging. Let's look at this first. If you are constantly reminding people to do things, you are still being the manager. And I do even find myself getting really hung up in this from time to time because my two youngest, especially my little boy, I'm pretty sure he's got ADHD, and it is like so frustrating to deal with because he cannot focus. And so we've had to start being like, okay, do you want to do this first or this first? You follow me on social media, you've probably seen I've worked with Lauren Pace is her name, but she's a child behavior specialist. And so she was really helpful in helping me shift my behaviors and my husband shift his behaviors to show up differently in a way that felt better because I felt like we were really nagging him. We were constantly on his case. To me, it felt almost like we were beating him down because it was constantly like, oh my gosh, you didn't get this done again. Oh my gosh. And here's this. I asked you to do this 5 minutes ago. And this is like the pattern that was being created in our house. And I can only imagine how that felt for him. And so if you are constantly reminding people to do things, you're still the manager. So instead of saying, like, can you take out the trash? You can look at them and just be like, hey, the trash is yours. It's actually your responsibility to notice when it needs to go out. If they forget, that is their problem. And I would love to say the overflowing trash will remind them real quick, but it will not remind my little boy. He does not care. And so, um, instead of, it's just really putting a boundary in place. And so instead of him being able to go play, it's like, hey, buddy, you have actually shown me that you can't be responsible to handle what is expected of you and your own chores and responsibilities. So you're probably not responsible enough right now to be able to go out and hang out with your friends. And so now we're starting to put a consequence with it. And I promise you, when you start to do this, then they will only forget probably no more than twice. I think he's only forgot like twice. But then like big really think about like big life events too, things that have happened, things that have shifted, schedules that have shifted, sports seasons ending, things like that, that's going to like throw your routine into something different, and know that they might regress a little bit because that's what happened with us, and I found myself back in that pattern of constant reminding. And so just know that those things are also going to play out in that pattern. So I just want you to dream with me for a second, okay? Because we want to talk about, we want to be able to step away, right? If we are the only person who can do all the things in the house, what happens when we go away for a weekend? The house falls apart, right? And then we walk back in the door to a complete disaster and we have all this laundry to do. And now we're rounding everybody up to get the house clean and to get things done. Well, if we have sort of this household playbook, right? I have like a boundaries chart that's kind of like a task chart for my kids. I'm noticing I want to revamp that again and create it in a different way, a different structure so that it's a little more fun for the kids. The magnets were great, but it's not working for my little boy anymore. So I'm like, okay, what can I change up? Maybe give him some choices as to which chores he does on what days, and just let him have a little more freedom as long as it's getting done. But if you were to disappear for a weekend, so you're dreaming with me, we're going to disappear. Would anyone know how to run the house? If the answer to that is no, you're holding too much in your brain. You are carrying all of the mental load. You have gone to the buffet, you've put everything on your plate, and you cannot eat it, and nobody else knows that you cannot eat all that food, so they're not going to help you. So instead of keeping everything in your head, like I said, this boundaries task chart, I will drop that in the show notes if you want to grab a link for that. It's just in Canva. You can customize it to however you want. And instead of keeping it in your head, let's put the simple systems. So let's put the boundaries task chart in play. I have several clients who absolutely love it. It is working so well for their kids. Um, what needs to be packed for school each day? Who's responsible for which household chores? So, and then a shared family calendar where everyone knows the schedule. And that is what I have on my fridge is this boundaries chart. I have a few different versions of it on this Canva template so you can pick what feels best for you and your family. And I will be adding another one as I revamp what we have going on right now. I will be adding that to the same template. Okay, the next one is stop being the default answer to every problem. Your kids can't find your socks, and you're like, okay, let's go find them. And you go up and you find them for your kids. What if the new way is like, oh, well, where do we keep socks? Why don't you go look there? Or one of them that I noticed the other night, it's funny when you start to become aware, you start to really become aware of where it's happening in your life everywhere. But my little boy came down and he's like, Mom, like my Alexa's not working. My kids, I tend to play white noise for them as they're going to sleep. And sometimes they like to listen to music. So he comes out and he's like, my Alexa's not working. It just has like a ring floating around it or whatever. Well, I noticed my husband, he was like, well, have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in? Oh, no. And so then he walks away and he tries it and it works, right? What if instead of saying, have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in? You look at your kid and you say, what do you think we could try to see if we could get that to work? And maybe they don't know, and he may not have known that like unplugging it and plugging it back in kind of resets the whole system. But when we can allow our kids to do things for themselves, it starts to teach them to get in a more solutions oriented mindset. And so instead of saying, hey, we need to pick up this, this, and this, which is totally my pattern, I still fall into this. Even yesterday, I'm recognizing Chloe had 3 water bottles out. And I was like, oh, one right there. Oh, there's another one. And oh, there's a 3rd water bottle. Like, what are we going to do with all these water bottles? And what I should have done is, and I don't like judge myself, so I want you to know that. Like, this isn't about beating yourself up. This is just saying, how do I want to do this differently in the future? So this isn't a what I should have done. I'm like, I think about it after the fact, and then I can change the behavior in the future. So I want you to know that that is like available for you. So now in the future, I'll be like, hey, can you walk around down here and tell me what you see that's yours that maybe is out of place? And let her walk around or let him walk around, any of my kids, right? Any of your kids. Let them walk around and kind of look and be like, okay, what is out of place? And here's what I'm going to tell you. To my little boy, nothing is out of place. So we're working on this. But then you can start to teach your kids to really be solutions oriented and do things for themselves. I am sorry. I'm not sorry actually. I am not the mom who gets up and cooks breakfast for my kids every single day. I am not the mom who has an after school snack prepared for them when they get home. I do not pack their lunches. Every now and then I will, just for fun. Like on the days that it feels good and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll make them like a little protein smoothie and a little snack for after school today. I do it when it feels good. But I do not put it on myself that it is my duty to pack their lunch. Do I check what they have put in their lunch? Yes, they do know that the requirements for their lunch is typically a protein, a carb, and a fat. They need all of those things to be able to fuel their bodies. So we do have those conversations, but I am not doing it for them because they can do it for themselves. Doing it all is not helping anyone, especially you. And what really sucks is a pattern that we also started to notice in our home. This is a little more recent with my older girls, is we would all finish dinner and then they would just disappear. Instead of looking around and being like, okay, like we just ate too. We all just ate. What needs to be picked up? What needs to be put away? They do have to. So we do have a system in place where they do have to vacuum the kitchen every single night, to like sweep it and clean up. And then I have one kid that like wipes counters and stuff like that. But I think that my 2 older girls kind of got in this habit of walking away because they were waiting for everybody else to finish eating. And my youngest needed to wipe counters at night. And so they were waiting for her to get that done so that then they could vacuum. And now we've kind of shifted it to everybody helps clean up. we typically all finish dinner around the same time now that like wrestling season, we've kind of taken a pause just with everything that's happened in the family. And so now we're all staying around, helping each other clean up after dinner, and then we can disperse and go get ready for bed and do whatever we need to do. So, what I just really want here, these are all things that I go really deep on in Mom Life Mastery. So, if that is something that interests you, the link is in the show notes. You can purchase that at any time. It is so good. It is so good to be able to just dive into your life and take things off your plate. It is not a program that is about adding more things to your plate. It's about taking them off. And so when you start to set up systems and really let go of the micromanaging and really know that you have the firm boundaries and set expectations within your home, you wake up and you realize it is not your laundry day. That is like my favorite thing is we each in our family have 2 days a week where we do the household's laundry. So some people that I know, they get the opportunity to wash their own laundry like 1 or 2 days a week. That is not how we roll. We all wash everybody's laundry. So I have 2 days where I do laundry, and then my husband has 2 days where he does laundry, and then my girls, they actually divide 3 days between them, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, me and my daughter actually switched because Monday she's off earlier than she is on Sunday. So I do it, on Sunday. So you get to find what works for you. And when my kids were little, maybe some of you have little kids. When my kids were probably about 5, 6 years old, I started having them put their own clothes away. I taught them how to put a shirt on a hanger. I taught them how to fold pants. I taught them how to fold socks together. And yes, did stuff still get shoved in the drawers and they were wearing wrinkly shirts to school? Absolutely. But I was able to let go of a little bit of that because what I do, I love the washing and drying process. I will wash, dry, hang clothes, do all of that. I really hate putting clothes away, hate it, and I do not like to fold. So it would be, I'd wash it, I would dry it, I would bring the pile out, and sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. So I don't like wrinkly things. I actually steam all of my clothes. I've gotten pickier, but not my kids. My kids don't care. So I will bring it out and I will drop it on the living room floor and I will say, come get your clothes. And everybody is in charge of their own clothes. If it's like at night and I'm going to have them do it in the morning or whatever, I will lay out shirts and stuff so they don't get all wrinkled. And so I'll just lay everybody's clothes out in their own piles. So, well, again, whatever feels good. It's the system of getting it done that matters to me and not having it feel like, I mean, I have friends who laundry piles up and it always blows my mind because I can do one. Some days we need to do maybe 2 loads of laundry in a day and we stay on top of 6 people. And I have some friends who like they'll pull it out of the dryer and keep it in the laundry basket and then they'll have like 6 laundry baskets by the end of the week that they have to go through and fold. And to me, if I were to turn around and look at 6 laundry baskets of clothes to fold, I think I would die. That would be so overwhelming for me. And so I like my system. And if you like it, implement it in your life. Wash it, dry it, pile it on the floor, and say, everybody come get your clothes. Does it take a little bit of patience to teach your kids to put their own clothes away? Yes. But now I don't put anybody's clothes away but my own. My husband puts his own clothes away. All my kids put their own clothes away, and all I have to be responsible for are my own clothes. And that's very minimal, especially when laundry's getting done every day. Some days there's not enough laundry to like do a full load. So it gets pushed off to like another day and it kind of like ebbs and flows. So I just want you to really think about that. I want you to be able to finally get a moment to sit down without the guilt, without that mental to-do list running around in your mind because you just know everything is taken care of. That is my goal to help you with as a coach. So, the mindset shifts to have that you can take away from this episode is if you want help, stop being the manager. If you want support, stop holding everything in your brain and start asking people to step up. And if you want a break, you do not need permission. You get to set the standard and stick to it. Your family is not broken. Your house is not impossible to stay on top of. You just need a better way to run it. And so I want you to really decide what of these things works for you. We do the same thing with cleaning. Each of us has a bathroom we clean once a week. I'm actually looking into hiring a cleaner to come in and clean our bottom floor and all the bathrooms once a week, simply because this rental is a lot more house than I really imagined it to be. And it's a lot to stay on top of. And so I can do better things with my time than clean. And my kids are at school and they have busy lives too. So you find what supports you. That is like basically the overarching theme of this. But being able to put boundaries and systems in place that really support you and making your house run, that is what is going to get you into living a life that feels really good for you. And I will talk to you next time.